Jai Shri Shri Radha Damodar Jiu Ki Jai. Jai Shri Kartik Vrat Ki Jai. Damodar Vrata Ki Jai. Urja Vrata Ki Jai. Niyam Seva Ki Jai. Braj Mandala Parikrama Ki Jai. Parikrama Kori Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Bandeham Shri Guru Shichitaha Padakamalam Shri Guru Navaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bandi Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kalpataru Bhascha Pita Sindhu Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pudayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gaura Chise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jayatam Shuruto Pangor Mama Mandamater Gati Matsarvasvapadam Bojo Radha Madanamo Divyat Vrindaranya Kalpadrumadha Srimad Singhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshtalibhi Sevyamano Smarami Shrimad Sarasaram Bhivam Shivata Tatakstitaha Karshana Venu Svanayr Gopir Gopinata Shriyestunaha Angashyam Alimachata Virabito Mandi Kritandivaram Jadyam Jagudarochisam Vidadatam Pattam Barasya Shriya Vrindaranya Nivasanam Ridila Sadama Viramodaram Radha Skanda Niveshito Jravujam Dhyayem Damodaram Bhaktya Vihina Aparadhalakshay Kshiptascha Kamadi Tarangamadi Kripa Mai Tvam Sharanam Prabanna Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Vrindai Tulsi Divyai Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyachai Namo Namaha. Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat Pranams and my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Gurudev Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Ashto Tarashata Sri Srila A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. And then I'm offering my same unlimited Dandavat Pranams and Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable beloved Siksha Gurudevs Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarashata Sri Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Asto Tarashata Sri Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. My Dandavat Pranams to all my Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and my Dandavat Pranams to all the Vaishnavas and all the Vaishnavis. Actually, Vaishnavis are also Vaishnavas. Did you know that? Yes. If you just say all the Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavis are all included, because the Vaishnavas are not their bodies. Correct? Yes.
So why do we say Vaishnavis also?
I said I've kind of
But it's said
over the. Let me explain the question.
Sorry.
Over the years, I've heard many different Vaishnavas giving their Dandavat Pranams and their Mangala Charan and so forth. And I mean, sometimes I've heard very elaborate pranams being given. Like, for example, Sripad Tirtha Maharaj, he used to give a whole, to all the, how would he say it? Like all my mothers, all my sisters, all my brothers, all my such and suches, right? Very personable, like that. And I've also heard Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, and the term is also used in various places. But in actuality, the word Vaishnava is not depending on your gender. Vaishnava is the Atma, surrendering to the Supreme Atma, Sri Krishna. So, all the Vaishnavas, my Dandavat Pranams.
And the Vaishnava may be a Vaishnavi in the spiritual world.
That's correct. And a Vaishnavi may be a Vaishnava there. It's true.
It sounds like you said, it's always just only Vaishnava. It's only till we added Vaishnavi that it became a distinction.
Well, it's also been done in Bengal.
Has it?
Yeah. You know, like for example, in the Vedic system, Srila Prabhupada actually stressed this very much, because he used Chanakya Pandit and his wisdom of social, political, subject matters. And there's one verse, I haven't memorized it, but Matravat such and such. That a wise person, a person who's very wise, they will see three things. You remember what that is? Okay, try to remember. Matrivat paradareshu lostravat. Okay. He sees every woman as mother. A wise person who's actually wise, spiritually intelligent, when they look at any woman, they see that person as mother. Right? And that's why the word Mataji is used. In ISKCON, it started to become used. Prior to that, we didn't have that custom, like from 1970, and then it was adopted. And then we came to Gaudiya Math, and then in Gaudiya Math, then they used the term Didi, which actually, Didi actually means older sister. So, in village, you see, because in Gaudiya Math, most of the persons have grown up in the culture of Bengali village life. And there, they address all the senior men as uncle and auntie for the ladies and like that. They have those relationships. So anyway, back to Chanakya Pandit. Second thing, he sees any property that they see lying in the street, any kind of valuable thing that may be, wait. No, he sees everyone's property, anybody's, as just like some stone lying in the street.
Garbage in the street.
Garbage in the street.
Yeah.
Right, that's wisdom. I have nothing to do with this wealth that this person has, by his karma, this. But he never has any desire for that, or to take possession of that. So he sees it like refuse lying in the street. Nobody would stop to pick up some refuse in the street, you see. What was the third one? You remember hearing this before, right? Just can't remember. Good old Kali Yuga memories. So, anyway, enough on the social standards of address. Now, today, we're in Mathura. We're in the transcendental spiritual world, traversing the great Mathura Mandala, Braj Mandala, and we have now come, along with our Gurudev and all the great Vaishnavas, we've come to the place called Sri Krishna Janmastan. How many of you have physically been there?
The Karadar?
Oh, what?
The prison, the Karadar?
Yeah, that's the Janmastan.
It's owned by Muslims now, right?
Well, they built a mosque. They tore down the original building structure where there was a temple, and they built a mosque on that place. So, anyway, then another temple was built next to the next to the mosque. So, a similar thing happened in Lord Ram's birthplace, right? And that was quite recent, when the Hindus decided, we're tearing down this mosque. That's it. This is Ram's birthplace. So this has been going on because of the Muslim-Hindu thing, but it's always caused by the Muslims. Always. They were the aggressors. And to tear down, it's like going to Mecca and, tearing down the sacred things there.
Put a Hindu temple up.
Huh?
And put a Hindu temple up.
Right, exactly. The actual thing is that what they think is I forget what they call it. In Mecca, they go for their pilgrimage to Mecca. And then there's even sometimes a couple million people. It's very dangerous actually because of the crowds. People die every year. And they're all circumambulating, but they circumambulate counterclockwise. And they've got this gigantic, big, huge cubicle. It's a cube-shaped building, but nobody can see the building. It's covered with cloth and all kinds of stuff, black kind of cloth, right? And that's their holy shrine. I haven't like studied it in depth. But one thing I know,
It's the house of Abraham.
they call it the house of Abraham.
The house of Abraham.
Why do they call it the house of Abraham? Is that where he lived, or his house was there?
So according to the this one book about when Jesus was in India, I forget what it's called, that the word Abraham comes from Abraman, that originally he was a Brahmin priest.
Okay.
And then he became the head of the Jewish, he was picked out to be the head of the Jewish, but originally he was a Brahmin.
Okay.
And the stone that they bring out to worship, the black stone, is a Shiva.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Inside, and they don't know that.
Yeah, right.
Because the people have never seen that. It's a Shiva Linga.
It actually straight up looks like a Shiva Lingam.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yes.
But obviously the mass doesn't see that, because then it would be very obvious that they're worshiping a Hindu god.
Yeah. So,
because the forefathers of Muhammad were Shaivites,
right.
So they're very angry.
Right. Okay.
That's where that anger
I
comes
see. Okay. Another thing, and there's been books that have been published and archaeological studies done on the Taj Mahal. What's the Taj Mahal?
Akbar's palace.
Right, that he built for?
Shah Jahan.
Yeah, Shah Jahan.
Yeah.
Right? So, they say it's like, what do they call it, a mausoleum or a place of burial, like that. But you know actually what that Taj Mahal originally was? And this happened, a lot of studies were done on a lot of the different structures, especially in North India, that they were originally Hindu temples, Hindu structures, and then they covered that, the Muslims covered that and turned it into their mosque-shaped thing. So, what? Oh, but we need that one. Yeah. It's better for the ambiance. Thank you for the. Yeah. So, anyway.
And that after it was built, Shah Jahan built it with 50,000 Hindu artisans.
Oh, and killed them all.
He cut off the arms.
Their arms.
The hands.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be duplicated.
Wow. Let's see. You know, a lot of those ancient structures, not that ancient, but a few hundred years ago, you know, those, just like even in Russia. In Russia, in St. Petersburg, there was a time period when Russia, France, oh I see, that's why you don't want to go on. If you don't want to help me. Okay. I didn't know you were going to sit right there. Okay. Yeah, and they call it the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg. It's one of the beautiful competing palaces of that era when Russia was competing against France. Who can build the most opulent? And this place is so huge, you can walk around it. It's like a museum now. It's kept as a museum, but you can walk around for a couple of days and not see the whole thing, you know? And, but how many people died? Because especially in that climate, in the winter time and all of that, so many thousands of people died just to build that structure. So, in the Vedic times, that would not happen. Such mistreatment of human society. So anyway, back to Krishna's birthplace in his Janmastan. Gurudev is telling us that around 5,200 years ago, at the end of the last Dwapara Yuga, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chandra, appeared as the son of Sri Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison house of the brutal King Kamsa. Seeing the child's divine and wondrous four-armed form, the color of a dark rain cloud, Vasudeva and Devaki began glorifying him. In his 4 hands he held a conch shell, a disc, a club, and a lotus flower. On his chest was the mark of Srivatsa, and the Kaustubha jewel hung round his neck. In response to Vasudeva and Devaki's prayers, the Supreme Lord assumed the form of a newborn baby boy and somehow urged Vasudeva to take him in his arms and carry him to Nanda Bhavan, the home of Nanda Maharaj in Gokul Mahavan. So that Vasudeva could escape with the divine baby, his handcuffs and his foot shackles fell off. The guards fell into a deep sleep, and the great iron doors of the prison swung open of their own accord. Although the night was stormy and the Yamuna was filled with roaring waves, the way cleared before Vasudeva, and he safely reached Gokul. That night, in Nanda Bhavan, Yashoda had given birth to who? Two-armed Shyama Sundar. Now, it doesn't say that in the texts of the Srimad Bhagavatam. But Gurudev's getting right to the heart of the issue. He's not going to let that go by. You know that even when we were there in Gokul, and Gurudev had us all seated and he was lecturing just next to that Chaurashi Kamba, which is supposed to be like one ancient structure there, with all the pillars, right? And then Gurudev was telling, he says, yes, actually these persons, these Vaishnavas here in Gokul, they like this philosophy. They like this conception that Krishna actually is born here from the womb of Mother Yashoda, witnessed by the Brijvasis. They even have the delivery room there. And they call it like garba something, the cutting of the umbilical cord room, right? So he said, but this is very controversial. Don't try to tell this to the Mathuravasis. So, and Gurudev also tells that, well, why did Shukadev Goswami not mention that? Why did Shukadev Goswami say that Nanda Maharaj's son, Krishna, is his foster son, and he's the foster father? And Gurudev, sometimes he would say, I also talked with Swamiji about this. Why you've told foster son? You see? But this is all preaching tactic. All of it had to be in that way, exactly as it's stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Later on, then you can go into the commentaries of the Acharyas and understand the deep, true Siddhanta, like that. So now, that night in Nanda Bhavan, Yashoda had given birth to two-armed Shyama Sundar, and a few moments later to a baby girl, Yogamaya. And because of her heavy labor, Yashoda had fallen unconscious. Of course, that's the external, but actually Yogamaya is causing everything to happen in this way. When Vasudeva entered the house with his baby, that two-armed Shyama Sundar assimilated Vasudeva's son within himself. But Vasudeva could not understand what had happened. He picked up the baby girl in his arms, and he silently returned to Kamsa's prison. The prison doors closed automatically behind him, and then his and Devaki's shackles slipped back in place. And when Kamsa received word that a child had been born to Vasudeva and Devaki, he stormed into the prison, sword in hand, and he snatched the baby girl from the arms of his sister Devaki. Then, swinging the baby by the legs, he tried to dash her against the surface of a stone. But she rose into the sky and turned into the eight-armed goddess Durga. And after rebuking Kamsa, she disappeared. Shri Shri Guru Gauranga This Is that too painful for you to hear? Then Gurudev goes on about the birthplace. Sri Vajranabha, Sri Krishna's great-grandson, established an extensive temple at Sri Krishna's birthplace. So that was built maybe 100 years after, something like that, after Krishna's disappearance. So that was established. You know who his father it was? And his grandfather? Grandfather is Pradyumna, and the father is Aniruddha. So he's the great-grandson of Krishna, Vajranabha. That's a pretty exalted lineage. Huh? So,
and that goes into the Kali Yuga for 1,000 years.
What do you mean?
The lineage?
The last of
The lineage.
The lineage goes into the Kali Yuga 1,000 years.
I thought he was-
So where is it traced like that? In the ninth
In
canto?
the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam.
You're sure it's 1,000 years?
Yeah, it's 1,000 years.
Okay.
And the same thing with the Pandava dynasty.
Right?
That went into the Kali Yuga for 1,000 years.
Okay.
And
And then?
or maybe
But
it's
the lineage still
described,
continued, but not in the position of kings.
I can't remember, is the 12th canto or the 9th canto that's
Mhm.
described that goes into the Kali Yuga. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's in the 12th canto.
12th canto is the description of all the kings in the Kali
Yeah.
Yuga.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
And then there's the Bhumi Gita.
Mhm.
You remember?
Yes.
The song of Mother Bhumi. You ever heard of the Bhumi Gita? Mother Bhumi, the goddess of the earth planet, sings a song in the 12th canto. And you know what the theme of the song is? There have been so many kings, and each and every one of these kings, they have all tried their level best to possess me. But all have failed. One after the other, they've all failed to possess me. What does that mean? To possess me? Oh, to conquer the earth. This is my property. I'm the king. I'm the emperor. I'm this, that. But each and every one of them have failed. And she's watched them each time. So that's her song at the end of the 12th canto of Bhagavatam. In gist.
They have all died, and all that remains is their name.
Yes, all that remains is their name, and that also disappears. You know. Huh? Who knows? 1,000 years from now, if anyone will remember that on this hill there was this little house, and there were these pujaris named Govinda and Govinda. And there was this one very heroic devotee who saved the lives of all the devotees. He had initials for his name. JP. JP Das.
Spotlight on you.
Yeah, so anyway, now he established, this Vajranabha, established an extensive temple at Sri Krishna's birthplace. And then over the centuries, religious kings of India successively built temples at the same location. So these were building temples to restore that temple, not to, right? And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived in Vraja, there was a grand temple here. Seeing Mahaprabhu's sweet dancing, born from transcendental ecstatic love, and hearing his sweet kirtan, hundreds of thousands of people assembled here, and they became overwhelmed with ecstasy. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to this place, he saved Subudhi Rai, a king of Bengal, by stopping him from committing suicide. He then made him into a great devotee of the Lord. Subudhi Roy had been ostracized from his caste by an extremist Muslim ruler in Bengal. And though Subudhi Roy wanted to become a Hindu again, the dogma of the priestly castes decreed that there was no path by which he could re-enter Hinduism before his death. This is the caste system. No, you can't again. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Ocean of Mercy, met Subudhi Roy, he asked him to utter the holy name of Sri Krishna just once in order to become completely purified. Because they were saying there's no way you can become purified. You're ostracized from our Hindu community. You became contaminated by the Muslims. Mahaprabhu said, what is this? You chant Krishna one time. Now you're purified.
Krishna.
Subudhi Rai followed. There's some echo. Can you adjust that? You know, it's like, can you move that table so I can see it? There's one light. Yeah, see, it's that second light. The one not on the right, then that one. That brings all these sound in. Hari, Hari, Hari. Yeah, there. Perfect. Thank you. That's, Nitya loves to put that on and make all these sounds like in the kirtans in India and echoes, and, you know. If we brought him a synthesizer, he'd also do all kinds of things here. All right, so Subudhi Roy followed Mahaprabhu's instruction and he performed Harinam Sankirtan and he served the Vaishnavas at this place for the rest of his days, right there in Janmastham. Now, Srimad Mahaprabhu arrived in Braja during the rule of the Mughal Emperor Humayun. That sound familiar? Humayun? Because I know that there's some tomb in Delhi. I think it's the tomb of Humayun. So, when he arrived there, this Mughal emperor was ruling. Then the Muslims later destroyed the temple that was here at that time. So this is after Mahaprabhu visited Braj. In AD 1610, the king of Orcha, Maharaj Veera Singhadev, constructed a grand temple for Adi Keshava at the cost of 3,300,000 rupees. That's a lot of money in those days. Then, so Gurudev is actually telling the history here. Then in AD 1669, that's like 59 years later, the intolerant and fanatic ruler Aurangzeb destroyed it and built a mosque in its place. The priests of Sri Adi Keshava hid the ancient deity in Rajadhan, not Rajasthan, Rajadhan, a village 17 miles from the present city of Etava in the district of Kanpur. So today, this same deity resides in a small temple in Rajadhan, and a Pratibhu Vigraha continues to be worshipped in the Adi Keshava temple in Malapura behind the present Janmastham. So that's where, as we were saying the other day, that Adi Keshava, Keshava Dev, is the deity, the predominating deity of Mathura. So that's where he's located, behind the present day Janmastham.
So that was.
But that one is not the original. That's called, you know what Pratibhu expansion means? You know that term?
Is it when the original deity is gone and they create another deity to be there sort of in its place?
That's right. The deities that you now see in Vrindavan in the temples, Govindaji, Gopinath, Radha Damodar, Madan Mohan, none of them are the original deities, because those original deities were rescued by King, what's his name, Man Singh, I think, from Jaipur. He had his palace in Jaipur. And he was a very powerful Kshatriya king that the Mughals would not be able to defeat him.
Except for Radharaman.
Yeah, well, Radharaman is, yeah, that's true. He never left, Radharaman. He was small enough that they hid him very carefully. Yeah. But, so then, It probably has the dates here in the book, but when they established the deities that are now in those temples, because actually all of those original temples were defiled by the Muslims. So they stopped the performance of puja in those temples, and that went on for a long time. I mean, they may have had a deity that they put there, just like even now, if you go into the old Govindaji temple, you know, and it's just a protected ancient relic. But yet, if you go up to the altar area, they'll have some small deity there, mostly for collecting donations and stuff. But there was a brand new temple built just behind that original Govindaji temple. And that's where you go to take darshan, that's where we go on the parikrama, you know.
I think that one, it's like really, it's fairly new within the last
200 years, within 200 years.
200 years, never mind.
Yeah.
There was this other temple that was, that's not.
Yeah, those Pratibhu deities are considered the expansion of the original deities, so they're worshipped with that consciousness, that they're non-different. Pratibhu. Pratibhu actually means, even Srimati Radharani, her expansions as the Ashtasakis are also called Pratibhu, her personal form expanded. Okay. So a magnificent temple but I'm just finishing again. This Adikeshava deity is unique in that his body is decorated with the symbols of the 24 incarnations of Bhagavan. That's the Pratibhu Vigraha. And Vaishnavas visit this temple because they consider this deity, they consider this the deity of Sri Adikeshava. A magnificent temple has now been constructed at the birthplace of Sri Krishna at Keshava Katara, with funds raised by Madan Mohan Malaviya. He did this on the direction of the late Sri Hanuman Prasad Podar of Gita Press in Gorakhpur. Very famous in India, Gita Press. And they published many literatures, Mahabharata, everything, and selling them at low prices. So a very pious personality who founded, Hanuman Prasad Podar, who founded the Gita Press. And it was also constructed with the contribution of Sri Dalmia and other wealthy persons. So you've been there to that temple, yeah? The current temple, no. Very beautiful structure, nice quality, everything kept very clean. So the birthplace of Sri Krishna, it is within the Malapura area of Mathura. Chanur and the other wrestlers, the Mallas, so it has connection. Malla means wrestler, double L, Malla. So Chanur and the other wrestlers, Mallas of Maharaj Kamsa, lived here. That's probably why it's called Malapur section of Mathura. There is a wide pond near here named Potra Kunda, which was originally within the walls of Kamsa's gigantic prison. Sri Vasudeva and Devaki would bathe here, and it is said that Devaki's clothes were washed here after the delivery of her sons. The pond was formerly called Pavitra Kund, Pavitra meaning pure, but in the course of time it became known as Potra. So Gurudev actually mentions a lot of these linguistical changes. They call it the corruption of the language over time. And so many of the current names that are of names of villages and areas and so forth, they were modified over time. So you see like Pavitra Kunda became Potra. Pavitra, Potra, Kunda. Many examples of this throughout the Parikrama book.
What is Potra?
Well, it comes from the word Pavitra, which means pure.
So it's just...
But it just, what happens over time, by dialects and so forth, is the words change. Now we come to Vishram Ghat on our parikrama. And we're walking down the road that comes from Keshavji Gaudiya Math straight down, and Gurudev's in front of us, and he's leading, and there's big kirtan going on, and we're walking through the streets and the little smaller pathways as we near to the Yamuna River, and there on the Yamuna River there's the stairways going down, to bathe in the Yamuna, and there's also like small little temples there. So this Ghat, Vishram Ghat, the famous Vishram Ghat is the principal Ghat of Mathura. And according to the Saura Purana, this sacred place is named Vishranti Tirtha for the following reason. And then he quotes the verse from this literature, the Saura Purana. Tato Vishranti Tirthakyam Tirthamaho Vinashanam Samsara Maru Sanchara Klesha Vishrantidam Nrinam. Wandering throughout the desert of material existence, living entities suffer the threefold miseries of life. They are without shelter in all respects, and they become thoroughly exhausted by many kinds of afflictions. Wow, it's really describing my situation. How about yours? Is that describing yours as well? And when they bathe in the waters of this eminent place of pilgrimage, which have bathed Shri Krishna's lotus feet, they experience tranquility. The word for tranquility, Vishram. Rest, tranquility. For this reason, the name of this sacred place is Vishranti or Vishram Ghat. So now it is said that after the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna killed the mighty Kamsa, he had Kamsa's funeral rites performed at Dhruva Ghat. Actually, there's 24 ghats right there, up and down the bank of the Yamuna. So, because it was Krishna's uncle, so he took responsibility that Kamsa's funeral rites would be performed there on the bank of the Yamuna. And then Sri Krishna, as well as his relatives and friends, they then bathed at this holy ghat, and they rested here. In his human-like pastimes, Sri Krishna may need to rest, but that Sri Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord, who has an eternal form full of knowledge and bliss, who is full of all six opulences, and who is endowed with all potencies, that can make the impossible possible, that Krishna, he never needs any rest. This Vishram Ghat serves as a place of rest for the distressed living entities who have strayed from the Lord and are immersed in the endless and the bottomless ocean of birth and death. Every year, before starting Braj Mandala Parikrama, hundreds of thousands of devout pilgrims bathe, perform achaman, and then take vows at this eminent place of pilgrimage. They also complete their parikrama here. Then on the day of Yama Dvitiya, or Baya Duja, you know what that day is? Baya Duja and Yama Dvitiya. Yama. Who's Yama? Yamaraj. There's a pastime. Remember?
Is it the pastime with the Pandavas or a different pastime?
Well, we celebrate this during the Kartik month, and it's right near to Govardhan Puja. One of those days just before, I think, Govardhan Puja. And on the day of Yama Dvitiya, the second day after the night of the new moon, Amavasya, in Kartik, many faithful and pious people from far-off places come to bathe at this place. And according to the Puranas, Yama, who is Dharmaraj, and Yami, who is Yamuna. Did you know that that's her name? Yami. So Dharmaraj is Yama, and Yami is Yamuna. They are twins. Yamraj and Yamuna Devi are twins. Soft-hearted Yamuna could not endure seeing the various suffering of the living beings and wished for a way to alleviate them. So on her birthday, she invited her brother to a meal of many delicious preparations and sweetmeats. Pleased and fully satisfied, Yama told her to ask for a boon. Then Yamuna said, "Brother, please grant those who bathe in my waters with faith on this day, with faith. Grant them relief from the clutches of birth and death and from the variegated threefold miseries." Then hearing this, Yam Maharaj replied, "So be it." So although it is very glorious to bathe anywhere in Sri Yamuna, it is especially glorious to do so in Braja, and even more so at Vishram Ghat on the day of Yam Dvitiya. Therefore, every year on this day, thousands of brothers and sisters come here to bathe. Now, there's another holiday the Hindus observe, and it seems like they kind of mix that with this day, because on this day, when we're all at Govardhan, then all the ladies are coming with these little bracelet things that they tie onto the wrists of their god brothers and so forth, right? In remembrance of this pastime. And because the brother always feels they want to protect the sister. So they give on everyone's, and you see, and many persons would come and also tie on Gurudev's wrist. Many ladies would come and tie on Gurudev. So this has been going on for decades, Gurudev, in Mathura, every year, you know. Now, the Yamuna's 24 ghats. In Mathura, Sri Yamuna flows in a crescent shape, and Vishram Ghat is in the center. So on her southern side lie the following 12 ghatas. So here's the number, the 12 ghats, and these 12 ghats are on her southern side. And then on her northern side, there's another 12 ghats. So total 24 ghats. So here's the names. Avimukta Tirtha, these are on the southern side. That would be, I'm forgetting. The southern side would be going towards Vrindavan. I think. Towards Vrindavan. And the other direction is going to the north, toward Delhi, in that direction. Okay. Avimukta Tirtha, Guhya Tirtha, Prayag Tirtha, Kankala Tirtha, Tinduka Tirtha, Surya Tirtha, Bhatta Swami Tirtha, Dhruva Tirtha, Rishi Tirtha, Moksha Tirtha, Koti Tirtha, and Bodhi Tirtha. So the following 12 ghats lie on her northern side. Navatirtha, Samyamana Tirtha, Darapatana Tirtha, Nagatirtha, Ganta Baranaka Tirtha, Brahma Tirtha, Soma Tirtha, Saraswati Patana Tirtha, Chakra Tirtha, Dashashvameda Tirtha, Vigna Raj Tirtha, and Koti Tirtha. All the principal sacred places of India, even Prayag, the king of all sacred places, Tirtharaj, they all worship the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna at the ghats of Sri Yamuna Maharani under her shelter. And during Chaturmasya especially, all the Tirthas come here to perform their worship. So now each Tirtha, Gurudev is telling about each one. Avimukta Tirtha. At Avimukta Tirtha, Kashi Vishwanath Mahadev worships the Lord. Those who bathe at this sacred place or who leave their body here very easily become free from material existence and reach the abode of Bhagavan. Guhya Tirtha, number 2. By bathing at Guhya Tirtha, one is liberated from the cycle of birth and death, and he attains the planet of the Lord. Number 3, Prayag Tirtha. Tirtharaj Prayag worships the Supreme Lord at Prayag Tirtha. Vaini Madhava of Prayag is eternally present at this place. Those who bathe here receive the result of performing all the sacrifices headed by the Agnishtoma Yagya, and they attain Vaikuntha Dham. Just imagine, do we have any such places here in the Western world where people come from all over the country on an astrological day to bathe, to attain liberation? Do we have anything like that? Oh, I remember a few years ago, they had a solar eclipse which was visible in Oregon especially. Remember that? And what did the foolish people do? Because they have no knowledge? They're going out right in the, without knowing that it's the most inauspicious thing that you can do. You know? But we also had in Govardhan a solar eclipse on the day that we were going to be performing the Govardhan Parikrama, right? Or at least the first half of the Govardhan Parikrama, the big half. Right? That was the day, at the exact time, when we were beginning the Parikrama in the morning, and it was going to last for 3-4 hours until it was over. So that came up. Oh, but Gurudev, we heard that it's very inauspicious to perform, to go outside even into the rays of an eclipse. And then Gurudev said, no, this is supremely auspicious. To do kirtan during Kartik, circumambulating Giri Raj Govardhan, chanting Hari Nam Sankirtan during the solar eclipse is supremely auspicious. So in all the Gaudiya maths, whenever there is a either lunar or solar eclipse, especially if it astrologically touches that region, because some they're called penumbral or something like that. It's in our, Bharala Maharaj knows more about that, because some eclipses don't actually touch. But in Gaudiya Mat, they always, which most of the Hindus in that culture, they know that you shouldn't leave your cloth out in those rays, you shouldn't let that touch your body or the bodies of your children and so forth, And the deities, they should be closed behind the, wooden area, and everyone should be doing kirtan the whole time. The Vaishnava way of eclipses. We have one coming on
December 14th.
December. No, there's
There's one before that.
There's a lunar.
Lunar before that, and then the solar.
Yeah, what is the date of that? That's
November. I think
it's at the end of November, I think. 29th or something, right? Yeah. Anyway, when we're reading this, we're hearing the names. These names have been there for thousands and thousands of years. And millions of people have come to bathe there, right? This is the nature of Bharatvarsha. The Bharatvarsha is the actual, holy places and they come from all over the universe, especially in the dhams. They come to worship those holy places in the dhams. So the persons who have very great, strong faith, purity, dedication, they will understand. This is the Vedic culture, the wealthiest culture in the world. So much knowledge is there. The next one is Tinduka Tirtha. It is also named Guhya Tirtha, and by taking bath here, one attains the abode of the Supreme Lord. Pretty much seems like you can't go wrong, whichever one of these 24 tirthas you're going to bathe in. Then nearby is Dandigat, where Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bathed. and he captivated everyone with his dancing and Sankirtan. This ghat is now also called Bengali Ghat. Acha, Bengali Ghat. Do you know that Bengali Ghat is the place where Keshavji Gaudiya Math sends the brahmacharis to get water? They have a pump there. And in Keshavji Gaudiya Math, the well that they had there was not so drinkable water. So I think even to this day, they send on a cart the brahmacharis with the big containers, and they get water for cooking for the deities and everything. Also, Srila Prabhupada, when he first left, his household life and he came to Mathura, he rented a room near that place, Bengali Ghat. Surya Tirtha. At Surya Tirtha, Surya Dev, the sun god, with his 12 different aspects, Dvadasha Kala, is always absorbed in serving his worshipful deity, Sri Krishna. And because of this, Maharaj Bali, the son of Virochana, worshipped Surya Dev here. And he was granted his desired result. So by taking bath at Surya Tirtha on a Sunday, during Sankranti, or at the time of a solar or lunar eclipse, one achieves the result of performing a Raj Suya Yajna. You would need a lot of gold, a lot of ghee, a lot of Brahmin priests and everything to perform a Raj Suya Yajna. But just by bathing there at that time, you get that result.
That's why when Mahaprabhu was also born, there was a lunar eclipse and everybody was taking a bath in the Ganges too, right?
Yeah.
It was out.
Yes, very, very good observation. And what were they doing while they were bathing in the Ganga? Yes, they were saying the name of Hari constantly, thousands, hundreds of thousands, lakhs of people. So Mahaprabhu entered, he made his appearance exactly at that time of the lunar eclipse. And what was the message that was being given by him at the very moment of his appearance? So he'll make the whole world chant the names of Hari. And then even when he was just newly born and a baby, the pastime that he would start crying, and then all the ladies who were completely mesmerized by his beauty, who were always standing around him, they were trying to make him stop crying, and then they started clapping their hands and singing kirtan. Immediately the baby, big smile on his face, and they were looking and how beautiful and smiling baby. And then as soon as they would stop, again he starts crying. So this would just continue to go on and on and on. So they'd have to always be chanting. Yes. And after, we're not done with the result that you get. You achieve the result of performing the Rajasuya Yajna. And after liberation, because that's got to be there in all of these gods, right? After liberation, attains the abode of the Supreme Lord. A deity of Bali Maharaj, along with his worshipful deity, Sri Vamanadev, resides in the temple nearby. Now the seventh one, Vata Swami Tirtha. Another name for Surya Dev is Vata Swami. At Vata Swami Tirtha, he worships Lord Narayan. Anyone who bathes here with faith on a Sunday becomes healthy and wealthy, and at the end of his life, he attains the supreme destination. Huh?
I said the above of Godhead.
Yes, supreme destination. Yes. 8. Dhruva Tirtha. After being pierced by the arrow-like words of Suruchi, his stepmother, 5-year-old Dhruva came to the forest at Dhruva Tirtha on the advice of his mother, Suniti. And at this ghat, Dhruva met Devarshi Narada. Oh, right there, at that ghat, he met Devarshi Narada. So the palace must have been not far. Who instructed him to bathe here and gave him a 12-syllable mantra. Dhruva then journeyed to the isolated highlands of Madhuvan, where he worshipped the Supreme Lord by performing severe austerities and finally received his darshan. Those who bathe here are recognized on Dhruvaloka, and when anyone's forefathers are offered Shrad at this place, they are granted results equivalent to offering Pinda in Gaya. Many esteemed personalities in the disciplic succession of the Nimbaditya Sampradaya have lived here, the only remaining place of that ancient Sampradaya in Braj Mandala. 9. Rishi Tirtha. I'll go to 12. Okay, Rishi Tirtha. At Rishi Tirtha, Narayan Rishi of Badri Dham is always absorbed in the worship of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. This holy place is situated south of Dhruva Tirtha. A person who bathes here attains the planet of the Supreme Lord. 10. Moksha Tirtha. All the Tirthas of South India, such as Madurai, Kanyakumari, they worship Sri Krishna at Moksha Tirtha in Mathura Puri. One who bathes at Moksha Tirtha easily attains liberation in the form of service to Lord Vishnu's lotus feet. Koti Tirtha, number 11. Millions upon millions of demigods, Koti Devas. They desire to worship the Supreme Lord at Koti Tirtha. It is rare even for these demigods to be able to enter this place. One attains the planet of the Supreme Lord by bathing at Koti Tirtha. And Bodhi Tirtha, number 12. At Bodhi Tirtha, Lord Buddha gives the right understanding, which means Bodha. The right understanding means Bodha, of the living entities' inherent nature. What is the living entity's inherent nature? Lord Buddha gives that correct understanding at this Tirtha. And what is that living entity's inherent nature? Namely, devotion to the Supreme Lord. So therefore this place is called Bodhi Tirtha. And it is said that in Treta Yuga, Ravana secretly performed austerities at Bodhi Tirtha as a Nirvishesh Brahmagyani, a sage with impersonal monistic knowledge of God. In his Lanka Avatar Sutra, he introduced this impersonal knowledge, also known as Bodhavad, or Buddhism. Being a Brahmavadi and a Nikshaktik, that means who believes that the Bhagavan has no Shakti, he wanted to kidnap the wife of Lord Ramachandra, Sita Devi. In other words, he wanted to possess the potency, the Shakti, of the possessor of all Shakti, all powers, Sarva Shaktiman. But Sri Ramachandra killed this Nirvishesh Brahmavadi along with his dynasty. So simply by bathing at Bodhi Tirtha, a man can easily deliver his forefathers and proceed to Pitri Loka, the planet of the forefathers. Fortunate souls reach the abode of the Supreme Lord by bathing here in the Yamuna. Gaur Premanand. So those are the half of them, 12 tomorrow, the other half, and we'll continue on with our Sri Brajamandala Parikrama Ki Jai. Mancha Kalpaturvascha Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shri Shri Radha Govinda Jiva Ki Jai. Shri Shri Sandhya Arati Gaur Arati Ki Jai. Radha Krishna Jugal Arati Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Prema. Who's going to sing the